All right, I'm going to get going here in 1 second. Welcome. I'm going to record this and I'm going to post this. So, just heads up, we are going to talk about VA construction loans for active duty veterans and all the fun stuff in between. We're trying to do these calls weekly in our school community. So, thanks for joining the school community. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we will get going. Okay, there we go. All right. So we're going to really focus on, we've had two inquiries in the past week about VA construction loans and how they work. And it's very simple. We have a great lending partner that we use for these. And I just want to make a quick video, put it out there. And this really is meant to stimulate more conversation with it. So, not all the answers will be here, but it's more of a quick guidance. And then you can leverage, reaching out to our team, calling us, the contact information's at the end. Or if you're in our school community, you can just send me a quick message there. But we're going to talk about how you build a house with a VA loan, is what we're focused on. All right. So, why is this awesome? So, the first thing is a lot of people don't use their VA loan to build because they don't think they can. You actually 100% you can do it. It's a very one easy step. It's one time closing. So we're going to talk about that. Traditionally, you have when you build a house, you can have two closings. This is a one close VA loan that we do. Okay. The lender we partner with to make this happen, they do these all the time. So this isn't like some new product. So you're definitely taken care of. And then the other thing too is like it's also your benefit. So you want to make sure you're using your benefit correctly. And there's a very kind of simple kind of roadmap to use this with little money out of your pocket. And we're going to talk about it in the next slide. But I always just say, just because you're using a VA loan and people might say it's challenging, it's not that challenging when you have a good roadmap and we have good lending partners. Yeah, the builder has to get signed up. Yeah, there's some little extra things, but it's not that tough. It's your benefit. So let's make sure we are using your benefit the way you'd like to. Okay. So this is the cool thing. It's your VA home build. It's easy and it's smart, right? So there's only one set of fees, not twice. It's a one-time closing. Your interest rate can even get floated down a little bit while you're building your house. It's a 12-month build, so you'll pay interest for 11 months, and then at the very end, it gets modified at the end, and so it's a 30-year mortgage, and then it turns into a 29 at the very end. Okay, and you still get the benefit of great VA rates. There are a little bit of kickers, so it's a little bit higher than just your normal purchase rate, but it's not too much higher. It's actually really where the conventional rates are at. So, which I do like that. And then, we'll check out with the builders, make sure the builders are good, make sure their documentation is correct. Now, one thing with this is you cannot be the builder and the veteran buying on the VA1 construction loan. So you have to be separate. So some people say, I want to contract my own house. I'm going to build. I'm going to be the site manager. For this one, you cannot be. So you have to have a separation there with the builder, but we help them get approved. Okay. Like I said, it's just one time you have to do it. And once they get approved, they get the draws, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, so here's kind of the path that I always tell people is it's a one-time closing, kind of no matter which way you go here. So the first is you don't have land, no problem. You know, whenever you set up the loan and get qualified, they will buy the land with it at that point. Okay, and that's kind of the route I tell people to go is like, you get qualified with us and then it all gets situated and then they will buy the land. Okay. Now, if you already own the land, that's even better. And then you can actually pay it off if, whatever money you owe on it and and still cover the cost. So it's kind of both ways. Some people already own the land. Maybe they acquired in the military or there's a really big piece they just want to go after. But I always say it's one or the other. If you find a good piece of land you like and you're qualified, go ahead and get a deposit on it. A long one, I always say 60, 90 days on it. Land doesn't move too hot. while you're getting qualified, and that will help hold it until the VA construction loan can get completed. And like I said, it's one closing, and that's what we want. Simple and easy. Okay, so you can do 100% loan to value on this. That means no down payment. You still have closing cost. For the product we use, you need a FICO score of 580. Okay, you have 11 months to build. You know, if you need more time, not normally that big of a deal because they lock your interest for the first 90 days once your loan like starts. And that's like when you're starting, when you're starting the build. And I'd always just tell people once you exceed the 12 months, you just have to requalify. Now you are still on the hook if you do a bunch of crazy upgrades that are outside of the loan, then yeah, you might have to bring some extra cash. Okay. It does have to be your primary home. We can't do apartment buildings, you can't do condos, shared, you can't do all that stuff. It's a primary home. Single family primary home is what you're gonna go for. What they will do is normally they will want 5% of the total cost set aside. And that is just to cover any crazy overages. Now, if there's no overages, cool. Money comes back to you, we're good. You can 100% do this at a 100% loan to value or zero money down, and you just are responsible for the closing cost. All right. So the first thing is how the whole process works. Getting your money. So as soon as you get all the paperwork signed, you know, you'll set up draws. And this is a very 30,000 foot overview. There's a draw schedule depending on how much money you borrow, but your builder will have access to the draws and then they'll buy the land. They'll get the first order for all the material. On those first draws, that's usually the big one. Okay. As you're building, you get more draws, they call it. So more money as you build. Okay. Then you're going to get your land, right? And they're going to get this situated at the beginning. All right. They need to lock that down so they can build for the permits and all that. And then your last payment day, you'll get the final payment once your home is totally finished and you get your certificate of occupancy. That is what wraps all this together is a certificate of occupancy that's done by the local county will come out and they review all the code. They make sure it's built up to the standard. The builder will have to be VA approved. And that makes sure we protect the veteran. They go out there and issue it. It's safe, ready to move in. All the papers signed. Funny, we say 3 p.m. They send the money the same day. And there we go. Now we have our home. Very 30,000 foot view here, but it's very much you get the loan set up. You get your first draws. You buy your land. You get more as you go. And then you'll make sure we have the permits. They have to buy that land. And then they have to make sure the permits are good. And then you have your last payment day, right? And that's when you get your certificate of occupancy. Okay. So, and I always just preface it here. Building your home with a VA loan. So it's your loan. So like quick pause here. It's your loan. If you want to do this, you can do it. And there's not extra fees. There's not extra, a lot of builders say, I don't want to deal with that. It's very clean. It's very simple. It's straightforward. There's no loan limit to these. They go up to 4 million. You need your 580. You can really build something special with your VA loan with little money out of pocket. And I just really tell people that this is one of the simplest ways to build a home is through your VA loan. Okay. Great news, right? So your rate, whenever you start it, they lock in the rate for you. But if the rate drops while your home's being built, they can float down the rate. Now, like I said, 30-foot view, there has to be some qualifiers. It has to move a certain percentage, but they keep an eye on the rates and they get lowered for you, which means you can save more. Your rate never goes up, and that's what we always say. If the rate gets worse, hey, you're good. If it goes down, if your rate goes up, you're locked. You're not going to get any worse. If it goes down, good. But I always tell people, building's not really for the faint of heart. There's a little bit that goes into it. So when you're building the property, the goal is the completion. That's the goal here. So the rates might bounce around a little bit, but just remember, once you have the VA loan, you can qualify for, a VA IRRRL, later on. So it's more of like, this is the best way to protect you is if the rates significantly drop, they can float it down, but it's never going to go up on you. And that's a really cool thing. Okay. So building your dream home with the VA construction loan. Like I said, we're still at this 30,000 view, and this is with one of our lenders. They run a program, and this is how we do it. So getting your builder ready. This is something that there's a small little fee that it costs to do it. There's a forms we send them. Builders might be reluctant to do this a little bit. Usually builders have the admin department or an admin assistant. That's who you want to talk to. Builders, if you hand them a big stack of paperwork, they're going to, they don't like it. So you want to make sure you talk to their admin. And so when you're interviewing builders, just say, hey, I'm looking at doing a VA construction loan on this. Have you done one before? If not, cool. Can I send you some paperwork to make sure that you're good? And all the VA is doing is making sure that they're qualified and that they're licensed correctly and they're going to get the right permits. Okay. Next, you're going to get the builder will give you detailed plans of your new home, the cost and the necessary permits. Okay. We send it off. It gets reviewed within about 3 days and we make sure it meets the VA guidelines. Once that is approved, then they set up the schedule to start giving your builder money. Those are the draws. Okay. A little bit of cost there. And then at the very end, your permanent VA home loan, right? So when everything's built together, they do one last check. You get your notice of value, you get your certificate of occupancy. And at that point is when your construction loan converts over into a VA permanent loan. Congratulations. So it's a 30-year, 12-month build, 29-year permanent loan at the very end. Very high level. So if you have some questions, please reach out to us. We can schedule times to talk. But I've had this twice in the week about people wanting to do VA construction. All right. So how to get started? This is just a big 30,000 foot view. If you need a hand with your construction, you can always reach out to it. There's my email. There's our office number. If you're in a school community, schedule time to chat with me or send me a quick message. But like I said, just wanted to share a very high level 30,000 foot view of the VA loan construction process. So there we go. Any questions?